Hey, welcome back, guys. Rob of Rule of Two Review here. And today, is Fallout 4 real, and just how well is the PlayStation 4 doing? So first off is something that I've actually wanted to talk about for quite a while, and today I finally have a reason to. And that, of course, is the infamous Fallout 4 rumor. Fallout 4 has been a rumor, honestly, for a long time, pretty much since New Vegas came out. Everyone knew that the next inevitable game was probably going to be Fallout, maybe a spin-off game, but probably still Fallout 4. And there's been rumors and rumblings and talks, and there was a tweet by, I can't remember his name, but the actor who played Three Dog that seemed to be all but confirming it, and all sorts of just rumblings, you know, about a pretty big high-profile game like Fallout 4. Then, of course, a month or two ago, a site went up, the Survivor2299.com. I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with that. That seemed to be an all signs pointing to Fallout 4 kind of scenario. And recently, there's been some more information about that. There was actually an article on IGN that was talking about it, which is kind of what gave me a reason to want to finally bring up the topic of Fallout 4 on one of my videos. Of course, you know, the real thing in question, especially with this article I'm referring to, is if it actually is pointing to Fallout 4 and or a Fallout game, or if it's something else entirely. Honestly, okay, so the site itself, it really just features a clock. It's a countdown clock, and it's counting down to December 11th. I'm recording this today. It's Tuesday, December 3rd, so that's, you know, just about a week away from today's recording. And there's a lot of question, of course, like I said, as to whether or not it is for Fallout or something else. It's registered to ZeniMax Media, and ZeniMax Media is actually the company that owns Bethesda. So that was pretty good information to glean from all this stuff. Honestly, I can't imagine how this is not Fallout 4. As silly as it may sound, if you actually go and look at it, even there's really not a lot visible, but there's the countdown. There's some weird kind of text script that says, what did it say? It had some sort of weird sort of lettering. Yeah, it's just a jumble. I'm looking at it right here, so sorry, guys, while I looked for it. It's just a weird smattering of letters and apostrophes and punctuation, and it's definitely not... It doesn't have any words. It's just a bunch of letters, kind of in a word format. But the other clue is that it says nuclear winter has come. And honestly, the letter font, I know this sounds silly, but the letter font looks just like the letter font, the number font for the clock. All of it, actually. It looks just like the font that you're used to reading on your Pip-Boy in the Fallout games, the 3D Fallout games. As silly as that sounds, honestly, considering how blank and simple this site is and this information on the site when you go there is, that's honestly one of the biggest clues that you can glean from it. And I'm telling you guys, between that and the nuclear winter has come, it's got to be Fallout 4. It's got to be Fallout in some nature. As much as I'd still be excited for it to be like another spin-off, it's really Fallout 4 that I and most people want, so I'm really hoping that that's what it is. Even if you look at the way the random jumbled letters are put together, it looks like something that would be like a code, like a hacking code or something like that you might be doing using your hacking skill and your hacking perk in Fallout. So it's got to be Fallout. It might not be. I understand that IGN and a few other people have pointed out some reasons why it may not be, but none of that seems very likely, and no one really seems to believe it too much. They're kind of just looking at ways to be defectors just for the sake of argument, really, which I understand, but this thing is going to be Fallout, and it's really, really exciting. So two things I want to talk about on this. First is that I think it would be interesting if we end up getting the reveal of Fallout 4 or the next Fallout game via this website countdown reveal in the middle of December, as opposed to at a larger event, like a Microsoft only, well, I shouldn't say Microsoft because it's known for Xbox and for PC, but it's going to be for all systems. So, you know, like a console or a company-specific event, or like a larger stage, of course, like Gamescom or E3. It seems like those would be great forums to be able to announce to the world in a very exciting format that, hey, Fallout 4 is finally coming. You knew it, you wanted it, now we can confirm it. Here it is, show a trailer, get everyone really excited. And I think that it's interesting that we might be looking at it happening, like I said, just in this kind of random mid-December reveal. But I also, at the same time, if that turns out to be true, I kind of like it. I think it's ballsy because they're kind of saying, you know, we don't need to be sharing the stage with all this other information, all these other games from these other companies. We believe that our property in this game is so anticipated and so popular and is strong enough on its own that we can just have our own little sort of thing, and we're just going to do it the way we want, kind of how Nintendo does their Nintendo Directs. And kind of just show that Fallout 4 is coming, and you're going to care about it whether you see it at E3 or in the middle of December or whenever. That's pretty cool. But of course, we're just going to have to really wait and see if that's the case. The other thing is that if it is Fallout 4, we really have to go back to a lot of the other rumors of what Fallout 4 would actually be about. All signs since the very first rumor had been pointing to Boston as far as the location that it would take place in, because of the Commonwealth, which you spend some time with in Fallout 3, is located in Boston. And similar to Washington, D.C. and Fallout 3 being kind of a historical landmark city, Boston certainly has some of that too, because of Plymouth Rock, and which is, of course, where the Pilgrims landed and all that good stuff, going back to the 13 colonies and whatever. I'm not going to give you all a history lesson because I don't really know history that well. But I think that would be interesting. I think that there's a lot that they could do with that. Initially, the idea of Boston, even though I have family there and I visited many times, in the present day Boston I enjoy very much. It didn't really excite me to envision it in a Fallout world after playing. I've played all the Fallouts. I mean, literally 1 and 2, the old isometric games that a lot of young gamers nowadays probably don't even know about, and 3 in New Vegas. And I've loved them all. 3 was easily the best, though. So I get very excited with wherever Fallout 4 would take us. Boston didn't initially excite me. Honestly, I think that wherever we go, if it is Boston, that's probably going to be cool. If they take advantage, a real strong advantage of the Commonwealth and the Plymouth Rock concept, and, however they incorporate Three Dog going forward, if in fact he really is in the game, like the tweet was hinting at, I think that would be really cool. So, I guess we're just going to have to wait and see. We got about a week or so for that to happen. It's December 11th, like I said. Pretty exciting. I know while it's not 100% sure to be Fallout 4, I mean, I'm calling it right now. I think there's no doubt in my mind it's going to be Fallout 4. I don't know what else they would announce that would be so exciting that they needed to post this teaser site and start getting everyone excited about a bunch of nothing. It's going to be Fallout, and it's going to be Fallout 4. So what do you guys think? Also on the agenda today, something that was pretty exciting to talk about is Sony has released some, I'm guessing, official numbers. There's been a lot of reportings about this, so I'm going to just assume that it's official. Some official sales numbers of the PlayStation 4 so far. And man, the thing is whooping some ass. It's doing really, really well. So it's been just over a week, 2 weeks or so, and the PlayStation 4 apparently has globally sold 2.1 million units. That is pretty freaking fantastic. It's doing nothing but breaking records as far as how much it's selling and how fast it's selling. So kudos to Sony. I used to not really enjoy you back in the PlayStation 1 and early PlayStation 2 days, and even in some of the PS3 days, but eventually the PS3 became my favorite system last generation, and I really, really appreciate you guys, and I appreciate the company and the PlayStation brand. So awesome. You guys kick ass. I can't wait. I'll be getting a PlayStation 4 probably sometime next month here, like I've been saying, a little bit after the new year, probably before the end of January, although I may wait till March when Infamous comes out, but regardless, it's been doing really, really well. Some of the numbers they've revealed, of course, over 1 million or 1 million units were sold in the first 24 hours in North America from its launch date, which was November 15th, just a few weeks ago. That is awesome. Really, really cool and successful. I was glad that they got that to happen. In the UK, it sold 250,000 units in the first 48 hours, which for the UK is actually the fastest selling console in the country's history. Remember, it's a different market and a smaller population than the way that stuff happens here in America, in the States. So that's really cool. So good for them. And of course, some other figures overall for the rest of the world. They didn't really flesh that out. But like I said, the bottom line is 2.1 million units so far. And so here's the interesting thing about that, is that is a global number, and that is not including their native territory of Japan, because Japan very famously is now not getting the PlayStation 4 until February. I believe it was the second or third week of February. That's still quite a few months off. And to know that they can sell more units in the first week or two than any other system has ever been able to sell this fast without one of the largest territories, for the gaming industry, that's impressive. And that number is going to jump significantly once it finally does launch in Japan. So Sony's seeing some really good success. I'm really glad to see that. I'm sad that I haven't gotten one for launch, but at the same time, I'm glad I'm waiting because I know there's been some issues. And honestly, there really just isn't that many good games to play. So I have no reason to plunk down on it yet. You know, same with the Xbox One. I already did the gamble and I got the Wii U day one, mostly because I'm a huge Nintendo fan, and there really wasn't a lot to play for that for a really long time either. But I'm still glad I got it. But it took this until this year, right now, for me to amass a lot of kick-ass Wii U games, and it's probably going to be the same for the other two guys. So I'll wait till sometime between January and March to pick up my PS4, and I'll be really excited to kind of add my number and my funds to that growing number of units that they're selling globally. So here's another interesting quote that I wanted to read from Sony that they released as a press statement when they were announcing how many PlayStations they've sold, and it clues you into a few things. It clues me into a few things, and that's kind of why I wanted to read it and sort of share my thoughts with you guys before I wrap up. So the quote is, air quotes, "While PS4's capabilities will continue to evolve, our commitment to gamers and breakthrough entertainment remains steadfast. We believe that video games represent the pinnacle of artistry and entertainment, and we will work tirelessly to make sure that the PlayStation remains the best place to play. The best part, the PS4 journey has just begun. In addition to an incredible lineup of PS4 games from the best developers in the world, we will continue to introduce valuable new features and services to the PS4 in the months and years ahead." Now, overall, that's the end of the quote. It was a very long quote, so sorry. Overall, that's good information. I like that they touched so much in how, gaming is very important. The games, the software, the developers that they work with, that's, like he said, is the pinnacle of artistry and entertainment, and that's very true. I agree with that, as I'm sure most of you do out there as well. Most hardcore gamers would. And I just think that it's interesting that the last part of the quote is, "We will continue to introduce valuable new features and services to PS4 and in the months and years ahead." And that's not a bad thing. That's not intrinsically a bad thing. So, don't freak out too much when I say this. But that's honestly not what I want to be hearing right now. It's kind of just a solid reminder of where I think the industry, especially console gaming industry, is headed, with at least with the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One, which now make up 2/3 of the console market, is that they're focusing on features and services and yada yada. And I get that that's important. I get that a lot of people, I think, care about it without knowing why they care about it. But I know that that's a big push, more for Sony and Microsoft than Nintendo, but even still for Nintendo. Overall, the console market is going this way and has been for a very, very, very long time. Things like Hulu and streaming this, and purchasing things from Amazon and Internet Explorer and Twitch TV and live and game streaming and all this other sharing on your social networks with buttons built into controllers and blah blah blah, all this kind of stuff. That overall it's fine. I'm really struggling to find the words on how I want to describe this. The problem is I know I'm only one gamer, but I don't care about that stuff, and I kind of still miss the days, and I still want these days to continue, where honestly our gaming consoles need to continue to be gaming machines. Just worry about that. I mean, if you want to add a few things here and there, that's fine. Of course I want DVD and Blu-ray capability in my machines. That's a huge one. Netflix is great, and I don't know, I think that's probably about... I don't even know if there's anything else I would even use it for. I mean, I just want to play my Blu-rays and stream stuff on Netflix and play video games. I feel like this is what makes me nervous, more specifically about the PlayStation and the Xbox than the Wii U, is the fact that these companies are pushing for so many features going on their systems that gaming will be pushed, maybe not to the back, but at least to the side. And they're focusing on becoming this all-encompassing, multifaceted PC kind of machine, and that could burn them in the end run. It's definitely made me less excited for them overall, hence why I waited to get one or both of those other two systems right away. That's part of the reason I got the Wii U at launch, is at least it was a gaming machine. I was worried about the games I was going to be playing and the cool controller and interface I was going to have. That excited me. PlayStation 4 and Xbox, they're just a kind of better PlayStation and a kind of better Xbox, but then they've got a bunch of other bullshit going on that is probably kind of cool and some of it's useful, but I just don't care. I really don't. I really wish that you didn't focus on making sure that your Snap TV and your internet browser and your IMDb's and your Skypes and all this stuff wasn't working, and you focus on just having more games available. That's more important to me. So take this with a grain of salt because, like I said, a lot of the quote that I just read, they did talk about gaming is important, working with developers, the pinnacle of entertainment. This is all very important. And they said that, thank God, because that matters to me the most. But then he had to add, I actually don't even know exactly who for Sony made that quote, sadly. So I'm sorry, I don't think it's on the article I'm reading. I don't see that here. But it's just unfortunate that he had to kind of throw in that little jab at the end. We'll continue to introduce valuable features and services to PS4. I don't want any more services. I don't. Like, the service I want is video games to put in my PlayStation. And, PSN so I can play online. And if you want to sell me games and downloadable content and demos and stuff like that online, that's a fine service too, because it's gaming related. But I don't want a bunch of other weird things that just don't matter. I just don't think... And I get that a lot of people like them, but I feel like focusing on them and making them a part of your business model means you're taking a huge chunk of your business model's focus away from gaming, where you could have an 85% gaming focus and a 15% features and services focus. That's a fine ratio to me. 85% gaming, thank you. That's what I want, gaming. But I feel like we're moving, this is just a kind of a broad way to make this analogy, to make it simple. I feel like we could be going from an 85% gaming ratio to like a 65% gaming ratio. I mean, I think the Xbox is even rocketed at a 50%. These are just vague numbers. I'm just kind of trying to make a point here. And it's just wrong to me. I think it's really unfortunate. And because of the cloud services and the internet and streaming and all this, and just the way technology moves itself forward nowadays, I mean, the industry is definitely going this way. It is going this way. I'm not trying to say we need to stop it because it's unstoppable, sadly. It may take a while, but, these are some of the biggest first few steps in this, march towards this kind of future. And I just feel like, especially when Nintendo, who is my favorite company, happens to get a lot of flack for some things that don't really make sense to me. I feel like this is strange, whereas we know we have the PlayStation and the Xbox, for example, who aren't really pushing games. I mean, they may claim they are, but have they done anything to really prove that yet? No, they have not. They're pushing all this other stuff. Nintendo has really only pushed games. Yes, they pushed Nintendo TV, which is really cool, but, I mean, it's still Nintendo TV, so I don't really care. But they've pushed games, gaming, and the gaming experience with their unique controller for the Wii U. And that's the gamers company. If you want to talk about who's doing this and that for gaming, Nintendo still, just like they always have, this is their industry that they created with their previous success, they are focusing on gaming and the gamer first. And I think that that's really cool. PlayStation 4, I'm excited and I can't wait to get one, but stuff like that just makes me nervous. I don't really want to envision this, features and services kind of future for my consoles. I want games to look forward to for my consoles. All this other stuff is fluff that I just don't really care about. So tack it on, but just don't ever talk about it. Don't make it sound like it's important because I don't give a shit. And I think a lot of gamers don't give a shit. That's part of the reason I'm sharing this too. Obviously not everybody. A lot of people listening may say, hey, that stuff matters to me and I really care about it. Well, that's good for you because you're probably going to get it. So I can only say I'm glad that you will get what you want. But I don't want gaming companies focusing on this. So back to the hard numbers so I could finally just wrap this up after my ranting tangent there, is 2.1 million units, pretty fantastic. I find it interesting trying to bring up Nintendo again because they've been out for a year. They've sold 4 point some odd, almost 5 million Wii U's in their first just over year. Which is not nearly as much as they wanted to, and I certainly wish it was more. I mean, at least it's still a lot. 5 million Wii U's, that's globally. That's still a lot of units, but they're trying to hit, 9 million by the end of their fiscal year in April, and I think that's not going to happen. And it's just interesting to me that the PlayStation 4 launches. So the Wii U launched, and it did well right out of the gate, but then, of course, games stopped coming, so it stopped selling, understandably. And so I think it's interesting that the Wii U launched with not a lot of games and didn't really sell very well for a long time. And the PlayStation 4, I mean, it's so new, 2 weeks in, you can't really know yet what's going to happen. But I find it interesting that the PlayStation 4 launches also with, honestly, not any games. And it sold 2.1 million units. Really cool for Sony. Like I said, I'm glad, and I do want a PlayStation 4. I think it's going to be great. But, I mean, what the fuck? Like, why? What is wrong with gamers? Like, why did you buy it? Do you even know why you bought it? And if you bought it, why wouldn't you have also done the same thing with the Wii U? It just seems silly to me. If it was consistent, I wouldn't even really be bringing it up or caring. And I need to reiterate, I don't want to take anything away from Sony's success because I'm glad that it saw the success. But it just doesn't seem consistent to me. I don't understand. But at the end of the day, it kind of doesn't really matter because the Wii U does have a lot of good games now. And there is no doubt in my mind the PlayStation's going to have a lot of kick-ass games very soon as well, starting with Infamous. I don't know if the Order 1866 is planned for next year. I don't know that I'm hyped for that game, but it's kind of a pretty big title, so I'm certainly excited to see more about it. And like I said numerous times, come next Christmas, I mean, watch out, because all 3 systems are going to be firing on all cylinders, and it's going to be really exciting, really devastating to our wallets, but it's going to make the gaming industry just boom. It's really going to be a really good time when all 3 systems are coming out with so many cool things. By that time, I'll probably be going broke, because I'm going to be making sure I have not only my Wii U, but I'll already have a PS4, and I'll probably be looking to dump into an Xbox One at that time, so... either way, that's the numbers. You know, bottom line, congratulations, Sony. Congratulations, all you guys have a PS4, ones that are working. I'm really glad it's doing so well, and I can't wait to see what's coming next for Sony and for the PlayStation 4, and to get mine pretty soon. So share what you guys think down in the comments. You know, subscribe to the channel and like the video. Hopefully you like all the stuff that I keep on talking about. Go Sony. Go Fallout 4. Hopefully that becomes real. So I guess we'll tune in after December 11th and see what's going on then. So thanks for tuning in, guys.